she had 13 that day, but she did end up having another one overnight. The last pig often comes in a lot of afterbirth and is the most likely one to smother and not get cleaned off. And that's probably what happened to number 14. And she had laid on one. So she had 12 Friday morning that were alive, and all 12 are still alive. So that's pretty good because I don't have a farrowing crate. I just have a pen. And most pigs farrow in a crate where it's about this wide and maybe 7 or 8 feet long, and it's got bars, but then a pen space where the babies can walk all the way around, but she can only get up and down in the middle. So that really prevents them from getting sat on or squished, because the sow is going to be 500 to 600 pounds, and Dolores is all of 550, 600. She is a big pig. And of course, a baby pig is born 2 to 3 pounds in size. So there's, a 200-fold or more difference in weight. And when you get sat on by 600 pounds, there's not much you can do but squeak, and then you're done. And so, and she's a really good mama pig. She grunts and they move out of the way so she can get up, and I don't know how we lucked out with such a nice one. Sometimes they're very protective and you can't go in the pen with them. And so the first time, I think Carter was there. I'm like, if she gets angry, you're going to save me type thing. But she let you guys just walk right in there. She laid down and gave birth and never even got up after the first couple. And still has no trouble. I say the word cookie now, and she puts her head up, because I have those cheap sandwich cookies in the barn, and she eats them right out of my hand. I fed her and walked in the pen and chased them into, I have a little area where just the babies can go, where there's a heat pad. Chased them in there and then picked them up one by one and put them in the trailer. And of course they scream when you pick them up, which is not a big surprise. But if you hold a pig, if you hold them like this, they don't scream. So if you want to pick up pigs and carry them without screaming, this is a safe way to do it. You don't want to jerk with just one leg, because you can actually jerk it out of the socket. So far, knock on wood, nobody's gotten out at the current barn that I have. But it's just a matter of time, I'm sure. Probably Dan's son, Noah, is going to take care of my pigs when David and I go on vacation this summer, and that's probably when they'll get out. It's a rule that when the owner leaves, that's when the pigs get out. So hopefully Noah's good at chasing them down. This one is a girl pig. Girl pigs, you can see their vulva. The boars, you don't see that, and you can still see testicles on them, obviously. We're going to fix that a little bit later. And these pigs are owned by Hyline Pork, and they are bred to be market hogs. So these pigs are, the genetics, they want every pig to be as uniform as possible, because it's faster on the slaughter line if every pig is the same size, and the same length, and the same breed. And so it's a mix of York, Landrace, the mama pigs are, but it's proprietary. They don't ever sell a pig out of their barn for breeding purposes. They have their own breeding stock and their own genetic line, and it's not shared with anyone. So these pigs are meant to be terminal, which means they're on their way to the slaughterhouse. And they would breed their own to generate more sows, because the sows, the mama pigs, are a different breed than the daddy pigs. The sires for a market hog are the darker colors, the Hampshire, the Duroc, the Spot. And you see how some of these have spots on them? And this one has a little orange-red on top of its head. Probably some Duroc in there. And that came from the father or the sire line. Because the sires, or the dark lines, are known for their carcass traits. And of course, with pig, the longer the pig, the more loin, and that's the best cut. So the longer the pig, the better. And the bigger the loin, the better. Loin eye area, LEA. If it's bigger, sometimes the slaughter plants will give a premium to that producer, because they're going to get more loin eye. So you want the dark ones for the carcass traits, but the white breeds are better mamas. They produce better milk. So if you wanted to breed to have sows, you would breed the white with the white to get new sows. And they do that at their own breeding stock barn. So Dolores is also, she was due to be culled. She was on this is litter number 6 for her. And I guess she was considered old. And which I'm not sure why, because her last litter, according to her records, she had 16. And this time she had 14. So this isn't bad producing. But there must be some other, I don't know what they decide on as far as how many farrowings they have before they're off. So Dolores will be ground up to be sausage when I wean these. And you could wean them right now. Industry weans at about 3 weeks, 19 to 21 days. So they could be taken away from mom. And honestly, I cannot feed Dolores enough for her to not lose weight at this point. She's got 12 babies sucking her dry, pretty much. You can't feed her enough not to have her lose weight. And you wouldn't want her to lose too much weight if you wanted to breed her back, because then she won't come back in heat. And of course, you make money by having pigs, so you want her to breed right back. 7 days after you wean, they come in heat. And they're bred AI, and 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days later, they have babies. So if you do it right, you wean at 3 weeks, you breed at 4, the 1 week later, a pig can have 5 litters in 2 years. Well, 5 litters, 12 apiece, that's 60 pigs per sow every 2 years. That's pretty good. It's way faster turnaround than lambs or beef or, we can produce pork at a massive scale because of that. But I'm going to leave her. Every butcher in the county is booked. It's hard to get a slaughter date unless you want to do it yourself, and I don't really want to do that myself. So I couldn't get a date at Sage's to slaughter her until May 12th. So I can't leave them with her until May 12th. They're going to be 4 weeks old next Thursday, and I don't know if I can leave these in there much longer than that. They're going to kill her. And she'll start to try to run away from them, because there's a lot. I mean, that's a dedicated mama to put up with 12 little pigs like this, I suppose. So I'm going to put her in the trailer, and because I don't have another pen, and fatten her up a little bit, let her recover before she goes to Sage's. And then all these guys are headed for somebody's freezer. Because again, I'm not allowed to sell them for breeding at all because they're considered terminal. We promised Hyline pork and Harley Cecil that we would do that when we got the pig.
So Michelle, if they're headed to somebody's freezer, where do they go until they're big?
It's usually 150 days,
Okay.
up to 5.5 months for a pig to go from born to slaughter weight, which is between probably around 280 pounds now. 275 to 300, and so most of them are staying at my house because I'll put them in my pen, and I have another person who's going to take 4 of them. So I'll have 8, and she'll have 4. My parents want one to roast in July, probably the one with the bum leg. We'll do that, and then I have a date at Sage's in September for the other 7. Dan's getting one.
I was there, they all spoke before.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I wish I had 25 because a whole bunch of people want one for their freezer. And Sage's does a pretty good job. Jones's is another one. Bellinger's. There's a new Mennonite place in Fenwick, or close to Fenwick, that does a nice job too. But boy, if you're looking for a business, if you like to slaughter pigs or cows or deer or whatever. Yeah, and it's hard to find places that'll do meat chickens. The Amish will do it. Yeah, it's messy. Yeah, there's nothing pretty about this, about cleaning them up or whatever. Oh, somebody's coming out.
Come on, Ken.
Anyway, what else can I tell you about pig farming?
So Michelle, what will you feed them to get them to the weight that in
The
September?
standard is a corn, ground up corn and soybean meal. Soybean meal is their protein source, and corn is their energy source. They do use cottonseed meal in the south because there's more of that available. And sometimes they use dried distillers grain supplement, which is a byproduct of the ethanol industry. It's the protein waste left over from the corn after they ferment it to make ethanol.
Okay. What?
But pigs will eat just about anything you put in there. They will chew up on anything. You can't feed them grass and hay like you can a cow. They're not going to digest it, but they chew it up. They play with it, you know. But it's illegal to feed a pig garbage unless you cook it first. Okay? You can't because of worms and other things. If you have pigs outside, and I have an outside pen or a door that will allow them to go outside, and believe me, I'm going to open that up as soon as they can get back in because then they'll poop out there, and I won't have to clean up so much. If they're outside, they're going to get worms because there's roundworms in the ground. So you need to give them dewormer. Pigs in confinement are never going to be exposed to a worm. And so you don't have to worry about worms in pigs, in pig meat or pork in the United States, unless it comes from somebody like me. You know, a happy little homeowner that's got a pig in the backyard that never dewormed. So I am more dangerous than what you get at mine. It's also illegal for me to sell you any of the meat I get from Sages, because Sages is not an inspected place. I can sell you the pig, but I can't sell you the meat.
Okay.
Not by law. You only can buy inspected meat in this country, or a consumer can only buy inspected meat. And it's for safety reasons, you know, you don't want to get sick or whatever. But there are a lot of, like, Dannon Yogurt Company, their leftovers and their waste go to pig farms or to other food, other places. So food scraps are fed to pigs from the human or the people food industry, but usually it's cooked or treated in some way, so or it comes out of it's the waste, like leftover crumbs from the Oreo cookie factory, and so just like us, they need carbs, proteins, and you don't give them much fat. It's expensive. Seetsumas, when they make their feed, they coat their pellets with grease from restaurants, and that holds the pellets together, and it makes your barn a lot less dusty, which is better for breathing for them and for you.
Yeah, that's
because the
interesting.
dust can really be bad in a pig barn, not to mention the fumes already stink, because pig shit stinks.
So are you saying like leftover like French fry oil from McDonald's could be
McDonald's, Wendy's, they go around in big tanker trucks, bring it to the feed mill in Howard City. They put it in a great big silo, and when they shoot their pellets through the press, they're coated with that oil. It makes it taste good. I mean, who doesn't like French fry oil, right? And so the pigs eat more. It's very digestible, and it keeps the pellets together. It makes the feed flow through the auger systems a little better, which is important, and it reduces dust.
Okay. I was curious if your students had anything they wanted to
You guys want to add anything?
add or any.
Some of them have had pigs.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I have Pickles at home. He's my potbelly, and he's white with black spots. And he pretty much eats everything. He eats kitchen scraps and everything. His favorite thing is apple juice and beer.
Apple juice and beer. Yeah. I'm not sure there's anything a pig wouldn't chew on. And as soon as Mama goes away, I'm going to hang a tire in the pen so they have something to play with. Because if you give them something to do, they're less likely to try to get out. Because pigs are, unlike sheep and cows, they work at getting out and figuring crap out.
Yeah.
And they are very trainable.
Yeah, we had to bury the fence this deep.
Yeah, because
So
they'll
he
dig.
wouldn't
They're
get out.
considered very much good luck because they're the only animals that root forward. Most animals dig, they dig back, but pigs, with their noses, root forward.
So I would like to add something from the library end. When Michelle said that they will eat anything, there are a few true crime books where people have disposed of the bodies. One happened right here in Michigan, into a pig pen, so that the crime was undiscoverable, undetected for several years, and it took a while for the detectives to find out what really happened, because a pig will eat a human body, grind it right down to the bones, and then there's nothing. So,
That's a good way to use it. They eat
yeah.
They
They'll
take your mittens right off your hands.
Yeah.
That happened to my mom when she was younger. My mom, my grandpa had a 1,000-pig hog farm, and she would go in and feed the pigs, and she'd be walking through, and they would just reach up and take her mittens off their hands and eat them.
They love chewing on stuff, playing on things. Bowling balls are used in nurseries sometimes so they can push them around.
And they'd be heavy, so they wouldn't.
Yeah. Right, and they can't get a hold of them, so they can push them to each other.
Yeah, every summer we get Pickles one of those round watermelons, and he plays soccer all over the yard until he gets tired of it, and then he sticks his foot in it and he
Eats it,
over.
yeah.
Does anybody have questions for Michelle?
I have two things.
Yep.
One is a comment.
Yep.
So, old lady Wait went to feed the hogs and they ate her. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Really? None of you? Wow, okay. So that's a phrase that my husband's family grew up with. Old lady Wait didn't feed her hogs, she went to feed them and they ate her. Right? So in other words, don't
Don't.
procrastinate.
Yeah.
Why do they group, how long, they're babies, kind of, so
Yeah.
will they group up like that, or?
Some they do for warmth. Probably the patio's a little bit cold. Right now they're pretty afraid, so they're huddling for
Oh.
protection
Okay,
a little bit. Pigs are born with no body fat, and they absolutely got to be kept warm. They'll huddle up next to mom, but most farrowing crates or pens will have some sort of heated space for them. And I just took the heat lamp off last night, but they still have a heat pad, and they all go there and lay there. Even now, even though now they have body fat, they've been eating pretty good for 19 days.
is that whole there?
Yep, 19 days today. So
Wow.
they're pretty good size. She's a good mama.
Yeah, I know one important thing for pigs is to keep them make sure they have a muck hole so they don't get sunburned, because they get sunburned easily.
Yes. Yes, they will. And they very clean. They only poop on one end of the pen. And no other animal, farm animal, will do that. But if you give them a choice, they will eat at one end and poop at the other. Absolutely, they do not poop where they sleep. But they don't sweat, so they get hot real easy. So that's why they like a hole. That's why they dig in a hole in the mud. So you see them all muddy. They would prefer not to dig in a hole in their own poop.
Right.
But if that's where the mud is and that's where the water is, that's where they're gonna go.
Yeah, that's what Pickles does. He has one corner of his pen, he poops and pees there, and he has his pipe.
Yep.
And then over here he has his food area. Yeah, he won't anywhere else. just in
Anywhere
that
else,
corner.
they don't like to, which is really kind of nice, actually.
Michelle, can you speak just for a minute or two about what you're doing next? Because
My animal science class are going to castrate the male pigs in here. Generally, sometimes it's done right at birth. My dad and I used to do it between 2 or 3 weeks, because then it would give them a week to recover with their mama, which we always thought was a little nicer. But you do that for 2 reasons. I know. First of all, boars, intact male pigs, have a taint to their meat. A smell and a taste that is very off-putting, I guess, for a lot of Americans. We do not want our pork to smell or taste like that. And the only way to prevent that without castration, is to kill them before they get to puberty. Which, we're talking 150 to 175 pounds instead of 250 to 275. And in Europe, they don't castrate a lot. They actually kill them earlier because they think castration is cool. Which they're going to scream bloody murder while you do it, then you put them down and they're fine. Yeah, it's gross and it seems traumatic, but it prevents that smell and it allows us to grow the pigs bigger, which means more meat. Second of all, a boar, like any male, like a bull, can be very dangerous. They're 700 pounds. You don't want them mixed in a pen, they're going to fight. There's going to be pecking order. There is anyway, but it's even worse if you have boars. And it's very dangerous for the producers because half the pigs are boars, You're talking a barn with 2,500 pigs, 1,250 of them are going to be male, and they can be very aggressive and bite, and they grow tusks and can be very dangerous. So some of it is to protect the handlers and the other pigs. So do it young and just get it over with, I guess. In some ways, it's what's done. In bulls and in lambs, the testicles hang down so you can band them. You can put rubber bands around, which cut off the blood supply, and eventually they fall off. With pigs, you have to cut with a razor blade or a scalpel and pull them out and cut them off. And then we spray them with iodine or some sort of disinfectant. I have betadine with me today. And they heal right up. Within a day or two, you can just see the little scar, and within a couple weeks, you can't see anything at all. Boars do grow a little faster. They have a little bit higher feed efficiency, and they will be a little leaner than a barrow, meat-wise. But we're pretty good at slaughtering the pigs at the right age before they're just gaining fat. And when a cow gets fat, the meat gets fat. There's marbling. In a pork chop, it's not marbling. The fat is just on the outside, which is easily trimmed off by either the butcher or the consumer. So it doesn't matter that much.
You never thought of that. That's true.
Hey,
Yeah.
Michelle, can you talk a little bit about bacon? For all those bacon lovers out there? Maybe the cut or how that's...
Bacon
that
comes
process.
from the belly, from the side of the pig. That's why you hear sometimes, or you see going across Bloomberg pork bellies, because bacon is a pretty high priced cut. And you can get about 25 to 30 pounds of bacon from a finished hog. And for example, when they add bacon to one burger at McDonald's, they used to correlate that, a jump in price by $1 a pound for pigs, because it's such a huge increase in demand when a fast food company adds bacon to something. And right now, maybe it's going down a little, but everybody's a little bacon crazy. They got bacon flavored ice cream for crying out loud now, because everybody wants the flavor of bacon. But bacon is smoked and cured, and every company that does that has their own secret recipe. And so some people like Oscar Mayer, and some people like Hormel, and there's different smoking techniques. Sages has their own smoker and for bacon. At Michigan State University, the Animal Science Department, they do research on different recipes and smoke. They have their own smoker and cure area there in the meat department. So there's quite a science to making good bacon and making good sausage. And I name my pigs a lot, referring Hormel and pepperoni. And boars are actually, when they're, there are a couple boars out there. We need daddy pigs, but because of the taint and of the meat and the age of them, they're used to make only pepperoni